My mom dropped the biggest bombshell on my life, and I accidentally lashed out on my wife. This is a throwaway account. I need to get this off, because this sub helped reach me. First off, I previously posted this using someone's account by borrowing their laptop, and I was just a mess back then. Thankfully, it reached out to my wife, and I hope I can thank that person. So, a little background. I, 27F, have a bad relationship with my parents. While they're not abusive, they can be irritating and always disagreed with how I can't decided something in my life. This disagreement made them send me to my aunt, Carol. Now, Carol is always kind and always support me in any way. I lived with her for 6 years and she been I consider a mother figure. I was 16 years old when she passed away from cancer. It led me being back to my parents, and from that on I still disagreed with them. As I was growing up, I moved on from them. Then sometime after, I met Maggie, 29F. She has been the love of my life and supported me through all my struggles, and she made me the happiest person in my life since Carol has been my support. When I announced my engagement to my parents, they don't support me because I'm attracted to a woman. The thing is, I'm open to both men and women, but Maggie is just special to me. When I first met her, I just don't give a shit what they have to say. She made me happy, and I'm glad that we got married. Fast forward late January this year. My father passed away and Maggie convinced me to pay my respect. I did. After the funeral, my mother started talking to me and just approved me and Maggie together. She then asked me to sit down to talk. As I sit down with Maggie, my mom confessed that she is not my biological mom and that Carol is my mom. She confessed that my grandmother at the time was ashamed of Carol for her lifestyle and had me when she was young. So she decided that I'm best with her than Carol. I was shocked and angry, asked her why she tell me this now. She confessed that I deserved to know and made a promise to my grandmother that they would take care of me. In reality, they just wanted her inheritance. It got to a point where I started to attack her until Maggie restrained me. Calm down. This is where I effed up. As I mentioned in that old post, Maggie is an orphan and she doesn't have anybody, and her brother, Michael, is in the family ever since Maggie was adopted. Her adopted parents passed away from heart attack after she graduated. Maggie tried to comfort me and I just lost control of my anger. I snap at her, telling her that she doesn't know how it feels as she has no father-in-law and doesn't know what it's like. This hurt her deeply and she just ran away. I cried and sobbed all day, and the next day when I came home, Maggie wasn't there either. I tried to call her dozens of times after, and she wasn't in her work and place. She's just vanished. I was panicking and pleaded her to come home. While I was still searching for Maggie, I just don't know what to do. Then I saw this guy with a Reddit account, browsing. I reached out to him, asked if I could borrow his laptop and Reddit for a bit, and without even thinking I typed to this sub as a cry for help. My wife is a Reddit lurker and I hope that the post reached out to her. It did. Maggie came home 2 days later and we got to talk. I tell her that I'm sorry, that I didn't mean what I said to her. She didn't talk for a bit and say that she is sorry for forcing me to pay my respect. And it got to the point she blamed herself. I told her that it's not her fault and I just asked for her forgiveness. I never meant to hurt her. Broke her even. I just lost control. I know that's no excuse, but I wish I could take it all back. She told me where she has been, and she is trying to reach out to her brother, and she didn't know where he is or his status. She told me the last time they talked was after her adoptive parents were killed, and she doesn't have anybody to reach out. She has been on her own after that. I told her I'm sorry for saying those things to her, and I wish I could take back what I said to her. It got to the point on why she asked me on why I wanted to marry her. I told her that I love her, and the thing is with Maggie, when I have something to let off from either stress from work or my goddamn parents, I just share it out to her. She doesn't say anything. She just listens. We hug, and I've been nonstop crying in her arms that day. It's been weeks after that, and she is still with me. I know how cruel Reddit can be with my wife should divorce me or I have to suffer. The thing is, I deserve it. I effed up, and I'm effing terrified that Maggie would do that, but thankfully she didn't. We tried counseling and it helped. It helped that she's been the one that is on my side since Carol, and I'm glad to have found her. As of my mom, I stopped talking to her and cut her off after what happened. Maggie doesn't want to be involved in that situation again and terrified that I'm gonna lose control again. I can't say I blame her. She tried to reach me through Maggie, but I can tell that she doesn't want to be involved. My mom is trying to reach out to make up for it, but I just ignore her. I'm conflicted on whether I should just talk to her and get it over with, but I don't know if I should. Maybe someday. Maybe never. 10 days later from the first post. Am I wrong for refusing to help my mother-in-law after she dropped the truth about my wife? My 30th wife previously made a post regarding the situation, and my problem comes to what happened later. To summarize, my mother-in-law revealed to my wife Vic, 27F, is not her real daughter and that her aunt is the real mother. She is taken by them legally because her grandmother doesn't approve aunt having my wife back then at a young age, 18 at the time, and they only agreed to get an inheritance out of her. This angers Vic that it led to a fight, which I restrained her. She accidentally lashed out on me. I forgive her for that, but I still feel guilty of convincing her to go. While things went all right after, my mother-in-law keeps harassing me. Recently today, I got visited from the office by mother-in-law regarding Vic, asking reconciliation. I told her I can't help her. It got to the point that she calls me hurtful things, and when she asked again, I told her I can't help her. She then attacked me, blaming me for her relationship with Vic and that I ended up getting scratched at my face. A security guard in the office soon appeared and take her away. After I went back, my colleague who overheard the shouting tell me I'm wrong for not helping her. It's late now, and I'm kind of afraid to go home. Not because Vic will know, but it's what she is gonna do. The thing is, Vic is still angry with her for that revelations and want to kill her. I'm trying to be by her side and don't want her to do anything rash. I still thought about my colleague's words and I couldn't help feeling responsible for it. Am I wrong for refusing to be involved? Update. I decided to come home. Vic greeted me and noticed the scratch and asked what happened. I tell her what happened and she hugged me. I can tell she is angry and I'm keeping a distance to myself so she won't snap like what happened before. New update. Thank you for all the advice. I have talked with Vic to discuss our situation. We both decided to get a restraining order against mother-in-law with Vic is pressing charges on her for what happened to me. Just as we went home, Vic received a call and is informed that mother-in-law got arrested in an unrelated charge. She left an hour ago to have a one last talk with her. I'm currently waiting for Vic to come home. Relevant comments. It's better to protect your wife and her wishes, not the a-hole. OP. Vic doesn't want to talk to her, but if I came home, I know that she will come after her. This is not the first time she asked me to help her. This time, I was alone. I get that Vic lashed out, not exactly something easy to process, and high emotions. Good you understood that. Now this mother-in-law, or is she, came to your place of work. Boundary violation much? Is she trying to get you fired, or what? And, for her and this co-worker, and this is why she should not have come there. How can you help? Point a gun at Vic, make up, or else. This is what SHE needs to work out and her timing here is leading, not that of mother-in-law or anyone else. Not wrong. OP. Thank you. This is not the first time she came at me for help to talk to Vic on forgiving her. She first came at our place, but when Vic saw her, she ordered her to leave and threatened to kill her. She only did this in my office now because Vic is not around. New post a day later. My wife cried after I told her I'm afraid of her anger. I, 30F, was waiting my wife Vic, 27F, to come home from the police station after mother-in-law, or aunt-in-law perhaps, is arrested for assaulting her neighbor. She told me she has a sit-down with mother-in-law to confront her about going to my office just to talk to for reconciliation. A bit of background. Since I can't share previous post links due to the rule, mother-in-law confessed to my wife that she is not her biological daughter, but her Aunt Carol is. She confessed to Vic that Carol had her when she was 18 and her grandmother legally forced Carol to have Vic with mother-in-law and her husband at the time to parent Vic, and that they agreed to take Vic and just to get grandma inheritance. Vic is beyond angry and tried to attack mother-in-law. I restrained Vic and comfort her. Vic accidentally lashed out on me and I left hurt. I returned home 2 days later because of a post I found in this sub. Now, yesterday, I was called by mother-in-law in the office to ask Vic for reconciliation. When I told her that I can't help her, she said hurtful things and started to attack me. I ended up getting scratched. I went home and tell Vic about it. She went on to the police to report her and got us a restraining order against mother-in-law. Mother-in-law apparently have wasted off her inheritance and need money to settle her debt, and seeing Vic as a source of income, want to make good terms with her. Vic obviously refused, still not forgiving her for the bombshell and attacking me. She ended up telling her to go fuck herself and die. She came home an hour later and just hugged me. After that, she told me about what happened and assured that mother-in-law won't come back. Vic doesn't want to forgive her, and I understand she is angry for what happened. She felt guilty on everything, lashing out on me prior and not protecting me. I just confided her that it's not her fault. She noticed that I've been keeping distance to myself. The reason why I did this, because I'm afraid of her lashing out on me by accident. I love Vic, and it's the first time I'm seeing her angry that day. I told her that I'm scarred of her anger because I don't know how to help, and the only thing that I've known is being by her side. After I told her this, she just cried and said that I'm a effing mess. I just hugged her, and she just kept repeating, "I'm sorry" to me. She kept saying sorry for saying those words back then, and that she hurt me. I keep comforting her about this, and I felt responsible for her state right now. I wish I didn't force her to pay respect at the funeral back then, and she's been a mess after that bombshell. If it weren't for that guy John who helped her for posting her cry for me on this sub, I wouldn't know what happened to her. She's asleep now, and as I'm typing this post I felt sorry for her. I'm trying to be there for her, but I just felt that it's not enough. Relevant comments. I am confused. Why are they scared of your wife? What do you mean by lashing out at you? Like your wife physically attacked you on accident? Or were these just words? OP. After the bombshell, I tried to comfort Vic by telling her, it's okay. Vic just snapped at me, telling me that I don't know what it feels and points out I don't have a family because I'm an orphan. It hurt, and I ran away from her for 2 days. After coming back home, I worried of her snapping at me again. I know she didn't mean it, but sometimes I thought about what she said back then. I didn't mean to make her angry. So you were scared of her because of her words? Listen, I don't want to invalidate your feelings or make you feel like you don't matter. However, if this was a one-time thing, you need to give her some grace. This has nothing to do with what you said, and she isn't mad or angry at you. She was given some horrible news and she was unable to deal with it. I am not telling you to be her punching bag, because don't be. But if this isn't normal for your relationship, don't treat her like an abuser. Hey, after reading the whole story, I think this was a one-time occurrence. Your wife was in the worst distress she ever was. But you could consider couples counseling or therapy, both of you. There could be resources for queer couples that are free. I can imagine that the time will heal those wounds and you'll grow back together even stronger. OP. Thank you. We have attend couples counseling and therapy. I'm just worried that she might snap at me again after that bombshell. I'm worried that being by her side is just not enough.